how many times have you maybe started a plan, maybe whether it was a fitness plan, a nutrition plan, or a business plan? I'm sure there's no shortages of plans that you've started before, right? And when you started these plans, maybe even despite the best intentions, maybe you found yourself quitting, right? Even if you didn't quit right away, you found yourself cycling back, and it can be really frustrating. And if you haven't experienced this, well, you're one of the lucky ones. But I know I've experienced this, and it sucks. But I figured out how to get through it when you start something. So let's say you want to get your health, your body, and your energy back, and you're like, enough is enough. Okay, maybe you find yourself, waking up feeling like crap. You loathe the person staring back at you in the mirror. You're tired of your clothes not fitting the same. Your low energy levels are starting to affect both your personal, professional life. All of the above. This is at least what happens with my guys in the initial stages, where they say enough is enough. So they finally take action. When they initially take action, there's this huge spring of dopamine, and they're in the phase of what we call uninformed optimism. Everyone's hot off the start. They're like, nothing will stop me, right? Until it does, until something does, because the everyday stress of work and family life is still gonna creep in, right? And so then after the first 2 weeks, usually week 3 and 4, we get in a stage called informed pessimism. In that stage, this is where you really get to see who a person really is, right? You get to see someone really well when their boat gets rocked. But especially in this phase, when you start going, well, maybe you're not seeing results fast enough. So you go, oh man, not seeing results fast enough. And then you want to bail, or you start thinking to yourself, man, I didn't realize how much effort this was going to take. And so then now you're that little pessimism's creeping in, and you're like, man, I'm just too tired. I can't be bothered to do this. What's the point? It wasn't that bad before. I can start tomorrow type of attitude, right? When we get to that point, you have a decision to make. And most of the time, most people's decision is to quit. Now, why do we quit? Because when you quit, it actually feels good to quit. Even I know people are like, I'm not a quitter, but I'm sure you're human. You've quit things before in your life. And sometimes when we quit, especially something that we committed to, it makes us feel good in the moment. And here's why: because the pressure is off. Especially if we didn't tell anyone else, the only person that we're really worried about is ourselves. And sometimes we don't even worry about ourselves that much. So we're like, whatever. So the pressure's off. And when we quit, we get that quick dopamine hit again. So we feel good again. But what happens after about a week, 2 weeks, a month goes by, 3 months, a year, whatever, we quit. And then we realize that feel-good feeling, now we're starting to feel bad again. We're starting to put on back the unwanted weight. You're going back to your old clothes that you don't like again. You're starting to, have 5 cups of coffee a day, faking your energy again. You're grumpy and later in the evening, and all these things that you didn't like before, that you wanted to get out of, now you're starting to experience it again. Okay, so quitting is like a catch-22. It can make you feel good in the instance, but in the end, it doesn't get you where we want to go. So how do we get out of it? Well, here's what I can tell you from my experience, is that when you get in that moment where you make a decision, you want to quit, instead of quitting, I'm going to invite you that if you're in that week 3, 4 phase, you're just beginning something, maybe you even haven't yet, is if you can rise to the resistance and commit to the process at hand. Commit to the process. Because the byproduct of the process is the results. But here's the problem: most aren't willing to commit to the process. I'm not seeing results fast enough. Okay, and I get it. But here's the thing: if you start looking at the data, a lot of times we kind of just think to ourselves, man, well, we kind of complain and go and say, well, everything that we don't have, right? Well, I want these results like yesterday, and we don't have it yet. But we're honestly not looking at the data of what we're not doing, or assessing the whole situation. Maybe it's taken you 10 years to put on the weight. Maybe it's taking you a while to be in that size 38 pant size, and you want to be down to a 34. So you've got to keep that in mind. Take the data at hand. We oftentimes look at what we don't have, but we don't look at what we're not doing. So what we're not doing is usually the process. My invitation to you is to commit to the process at hand, follow through, and I promise you on the other side of that resistance, you will find results. And listen, if you want to stop quitting permanently and stopping for good, just head over to acceleratedmethodclass.com. That's acceleratedmethodclass.com. You can check it out. It's a short training. It's meant for guys, busy professionals, burnout, busy professionals and entrepreneurs who want to get their energy back, transform the way their clothes fit, lose some weight, and they want to keep it off, and they want to stop stopping for good without sacrificing their schedule or their entire life at the same time. So if that's you, check it out, or don't. Either way, rise to the resistance, commit to the process. I'm Logan. Till next time.